Welcome to the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority video presentation of the Section H Employer Certification of Leave and Salary Information, presented by the Employer Reporting, Compliance, and Education Division. When a member submits their notification of retirement Form 6000 to KPPA to begin the retirement process, KPPA will send the Section H Employer Certification of Leave and Salary part of the Form 6000 to the member's employer. Blank copies of the Section H can also be found in Employer Self-Service within the Available Forms drop-down list. From this list, the employer representative may opt to complete the form in PDF format or to complete an e-form version using a form wizard. For assistance using the e-form wizard, please review the E6000H Certification Completion Guide found on the KPPA General website under the Employer Publication section. If the employer representative opts to complete the paper or PDF version of the Section H, this is what the form will look like. The Section H is a critical part of the notification of retirement form that should only be completed and signed by an authorized employer contact. The information provided in this section allows the employer to verify the member's expected wages at the time of this projected retirement date. It also allows the employer to provide unused sick leave hours, alternate sick leave payout, and compensatory payouts should they participate in any of those programs. The information provided to KPPA on this form will be used in determining the member's retirement benefits. If a difference is discovered during the post-retirement audit between the information provided on the Section H and the actual amounts reported, the member's retirement will be recalculated. The first piece of information required on the Section H is the identification of the employer and member. Please provide the employer name, employer code, member name, and KPPA member ID. The member's termination date is next, and per statute, the effective date of retirement is always the first day of a month, and it must fall after the member's termination or last day of paid employment. Therefore, the termination date provided should always precede the member's retirement date on this form. Following the member's termination date is the Employer Report of Leave Balance date field. The employer has the option to either provide the prospective retirement date in this field and project the leave balances to that future date, or they may use the current date that the Section H is being completed and furnish the hours accrued at that point in time. KPPA will use the information provided, and we will leave it up to the reporting employer to determine whether to be conservative or to project the unearned leave for the member's retirement calculation. Once the date is selected, the employer must then answer a few questions regarding their participation in the sick leave program with KPPA. If the employer does not participate in a sick leave program with KPPA, mark the No Radio button and move on to the next section. If the employer does participate in a sick leave program, mark the Yes Radio button and indicate which program they participate in. The employer must also provide whether the member works an average of 21 days per month or if the employee has an alternate work schedule. If the member works an alternate schedule, the employer will need to mark the No Radio button and provide an alternate number of average working days per month. If the employer participates in the standard sick leave program, mark the appropriate radio buttons and then provide the accumulated unused sick leave in hours and the hours in a sick leave day. If the member is taking a payout for sick leave and the employer participates in the standard sick leave program, do not include those hours on the Section H and do not report the payout amount for the sick leave to KPPA. If the employer participates in the alternate sick leave program, provide the accumulated unused sick leave in days, followed by the hours in a sick leave day. To determine the amount to be placed in the estimated compensation field, calculate the sick leave payment based on the hourly rate times the total sick leave days times hours per day times percentage of sick leave paid to member. Remember, if the agency only pays a percentage of the total unused days in the accumulated sick leave field, they should still report the total number of days accumulated at termination, not the percentage amount. The final section on page 1 should be completed by the participating school board employers only. In order for KPPA to determine the correct amount of service credit at retirement for our school board employees, we require the employer to verify the actual number of days available to work up to the member's termination date. If that date is within the current fiscal year, then the employer will only need to provide the current school year information. However, if the termination date is in the next fiscal year, then the employer will need to provide the number of actual days on the current school year and project the number of days for the next fiscal year. It is possible that number could be 0 if the member terminates prior to working in the new school year. H2 begins with the identification of the employer and member. Once again, the employer must provide the employer name, employer code, member name, and member ID. Following this is a note for the employer to explain the reason why KPPA requests salary information for 3 months prior to the date that the form is being completed up to the date of termination. Typically, there is a 2-month minimum delay between the wages paid to the employee versus the wages posted to the START system. If we do not have wages posted and the employer does not supply the information, KPPA counselors will not have the member's full salary when running the retirement calculation. In the Employer's Report of Final Salary section, few things must be provided for the member's retirement calculation. In the following example, we are going to use the following dates for the member's termination and retirement and the form completion date. The first thing to determine is how far back to report salary. In this example, 3 months prior to the form completion date would be July. So the salary information needed will be for the posting months of July to December, which is the month of the member's termination. Then the payment reason and salary amount is required for each posting month listed, keeping in mind the salary should represent the amount that was paid in the month. In the current example, the member received a consistent salary, but what if in October they worked overtime and received a larger amount? In that case, you need to update the payment reason accordingly. Many participating agencies pay their employees 2 weeks behind, so it is feasible that your terminated employee will receive their final check after their termination date. When you add this information to the Section H, make sure to correctly identify the payment reason and remember that the posting month cannot be after the member's termination date. Lastly, if the member receives any additional payment like a bonus, severance, or compensatory payout, you should list this separately from the regular wages and identify it properly, making sure your posting month is not after the member's termination date for this payment either. One thing to be aware of are the payments that do not get reported to KPPA. Those payments are living allowances, expense reimbursements, lump sum payout of unused vacation or annual time, and the lump sum payout of unused sick leave by an employer who does not participate in the alternate sick leave program. If any of these payment types are reported to KPPA, they will be refunded and the member's salary for the posting month would be corrected. If this refund causes the member's retirement check to reduce, then the member will be required to repay KPPA for any monies paid to them in error since their retirement date. Before the Section H is signed and submitted, please verify all information provided on it, as well as the information that has been provided through Employer Self-Service, is accurate to the best of your knowledge. Once the information on Section H has been verified, it must be signed by an authorized employer contact. Authorized employer contacts are set up and maintained by each agency in Employer Self-Service. If you are unsure if you are set up as an employer contact, please contact your employer administrator for assistance. It is extremely important that employers update their contacts regularly, as an unauthorized signature on the form could delay the member receiving their retirement benefits. We know retirement can be a stressful time for your employees, and a useful site as they prepare for retirement is the Ready to Retire webpage, found in the member section of the KPPA General website. Here, they can gain knowledge on retirement strategies, common mistakes made while filling out the Form 6000, and other valuable information. Please direct them to this site and to the KPPA call center for assistance with retirement questions or concerns. Thank you for viewing the Section H Employer Certification of Leave and Salary Information training. If you have any questions, please contact your ERCE representative Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.